Chapter 2, Section 2.1, Math 110. Section 2.1, Linear Equation in two variables. First, we want to talk about the slope. And what is the slope? Slope actually is rise over run. So if you see on page 160 of the textbook, let's say if you have, let's say there is a hill here, and you want to measure slope of this hill. And you have these two endpoints. So if you draw the vertical line and the horizontal line, and you create a 90-degree triangle, then a slope, which in algebra we are using letter of M, it's the vertical distance or the rise here. Let's say from here to here, it's like 5 inches. And then this one, let's say, is 3. So it's rise over run, ratio of rise over run. So that would be 5 over 3. That's how to calculate the slope of the line. And if a slope is in this direction, it's just climbing, is always positive. And in case of decreasing or inclined, then a slope is negative. So in this direction is negative, in this direction is positive. So what is the slope? Rise over run. So in the case you have X and Y axis, and there is a point, and we ask you to find, if I connect these 2 points and draw the line that goes through the origin, if we ask you to find a slope of this line, what you do is you draw a vertical line, and in this triangle, you measure the height. Let's say from here to here is 2. And let's assume this is 1. So a slope is 2 over 1 or 2. And it's a positive because it goes in these directions. Okay? So if it goes in this direction, is negative. All right, so that's what they're talking about here. Now, when you draw a line, there are normally 2 equations. One equation, they call it a slope-intercept form, which is y equal mx plus b. Slope-intercept form, it's mx plus b. And what is this b? B is y-intercept. And then there is another equations. This one, they call it point slope form. Point slope form. And this equation, actually, you could take the y1 and take it to the other side, since we are going to do it in the problems anyway. So I can write it as y equal m and x minus x1 plus y1. To use this equation, you need to have coordinates of 1 point, x1 and y1. This should give you coordinates of 1 point in the problems and a slope. If you want to use this formula, you need to have the y-intercept given in the problems and a slope. So there are 2 formula that we use for equation of a straight line. And how do I calculate the slope in the algebra? If we give you coordinates of 2 points, let's say one point is x1, y1, and second point is x2, y2, and we ask you to find the slope. The slope is difference of the y over difference of x, the ratio. So these are 3 formulas that we need to remember. And here is a picture of a slope. You see how they measure a slope for this curve? For this ramp, we measure the height, 22 inch divided by 24, which basically, if you want to get a good one, they both should be the same units. That's why they change it from feet to inches, okay? All right. And then there is also a definition that if you have two lines that are parallel lines, they have the same slope. And if two lines are perpendicular, then a slope of one is opposite reverse of the second one. Let's say you have two lines, and these two lines are vertical lines. These two lines are perpendicular, right? Because they are making 90-degree angle. If a slope of one is, let's say, if 3/5, how do I find the slope of the other one? If two lines are perpendicular or if make a 90-degree angle, a slope of the second one is with the opposite sign. See, what's the sign here? Positive. So it's negative, and then you inverse the second one. That's how to find the slope. Let's say a slope of, another example, a slope of this one is -5. How do I find the slope of the other ones? If it's -5 and you don't see any denominator, give 1 to it. So the slope of the other one is positive 1/5. Opposite sign and you inverse it, okay? What if two lines are parallel lines? That one is easy. If two lines are parallel lines, the slopes are the same. So if the slope of one, let's say, is -7, slope of the second one also is -7. So two lines are parallel lines. Parallel lines have the same slope, and perpendicular lines a slope of one is opposite reverse of the second one. So these are 3 or 4 or 5 formulas that we need to remember to do the problem in these sections. Okay, so we have that, and we have this formula. All right. Okay, let's look at some of the homework problems. So here what we have is, they want us to identify which line belongs to which one of this. A slope is 2/1. I'm sorry, 2/3. -2 is a slope. I'll change that one. It's not wrong. A slope is -2. Which one of this line has a negative? Is this one. See, because directions is declining. This one has a positive slope. And which one is undefined? Now, you need to remember, there are two lines. One is a vertical line, one is a horizontal line. All the horizontal lines, let's say here you have y equal +2. All the horizontal line, its slope is 0. And all the vertical lines, like x equal, let's say 3. All the vertical line, its slope is undefined. Think of this. If you're familiar with treadmill in the gym, when you put a slope is 0, means it's horizontal, right? No slope. So any horizontal line has a slope of 0. Now, when you're on the treadmill, let's say this is a treadmill, and you're standing here, and there is no slope. The slope is 0. Now, as slope increase on the treadmill, when you're increasing the slope, let's say a slope is 3, 5, 6, 7. Can you stay on the treadmill when it's the vertical? No. So, or can you climb the wall when it's vertical? No. So all the vertical lines has a slope is undefined. Okay, let's say you work on the problems and m is 0/5. What is 0/5? You could always use your calculator. 0 divided by 5 is 0. That is indication of horizontal line. And let's say you do the problems and denominator is 0. Use your calculator. Calculator would give you error. Why? Because it's undefined for the vertical line. So all the vertical lines, the slope is undefined, and horizontal line, the slope is 0. Which one of these is a slope is 1? See, there are 3 slopes here. Look, one is negative, one is positive, and one is 0. All the lines that are going in these directions, a slope is positive. All the lines that are going like this, slope is negative. And all the horizontal line, the slope is 0. Slope is negative, slope is positive. Okay? So m is equal to 1 because the slope is positive. M equals 0, the line is horizontal, and the slope is negative because You have a negative sign here. They are saying plot this point, 5, 3. 5, 3 is here. Plot this point. And then draw a line with a slope of 0. What kind of line has a slope of 0? Horizontal line. So this is this one. From this point, which is 5.5 and 3, draw a horizontal line. The horizontal line, they all have a slope of 0. Okay? Now, a slope is 1. So if I want to draw the slope of 1 from this point, let me show you here. Let's say 5 and 3 is here. X, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3 is here. From this point, I want to draw a line with a slope of 1. A slope of 1 means what? Means it could be 3 over 3, it could be 5 over 4, it could be 1 over 1, or whatever. So what you do here, you just go 1, 1. See? When a slope is 1, means it could be 1 over 1, it could be 3 over 3. As long as the rise and run are equal, so I go 1 and 1, that give you the second point. See? And you connect. Or you could go 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3 to find these points. See? They all fall in the same line. What if you want to have a slope of 5? So if you want to have a slope of 5, you just go from that point. Let's say 5.3 is here, right? You want to go 5. A slope of 5 means what? It means 5 over 1, right? So you go 1, and then you go 5. 1, 5. That gives you the second point, and then you connect. See? A slope is rise over run, 5 over 1, and so on. What if it's a negative? Negative 3. Okay. The only thing is negative is the opposite directions. So here, from this point, I want to draw the line, which is negative 3. A slope is negative 3. Let's say it's negative 3 over 1. Okay. So here, what you do is you just go opposite direction, negative 3. And then you go 1. And you do it this way. Okay. So look, negative 3 and 1 is this. Negative 3, 1, and that gives you the second point. Which I said opposite, I'm sorry. Negative 3 over 1. Negative 2 over 1, because it should always be, rise over run. Let me write it here so I won't forget. Negative 3 over 1. Okay, so that's how to graph it. Find the slope of the line. When they ask you to find the slope of the line, take any point. Let's say I take this point and arbitrate. Any point lie on this line. I'll take this one and I measure. From here to here is almost 5, and from here to here is 4. Rise is 5, run is 4, 5 over 4. It could be any point. Measure any point and then read the rise and run. Could be this one too. This equation is given, y equal 5x plus 3, right? So they want us to find the slope. Remember, one of the equation is, general equation is mx plus b. So if I write this equation under this, what is the slope? The slope is 5. What is y-intercept? B is the y-intercept. 0 and 3. Which is this point. This is the y-intercept. Y-intercept is where your graph or your line intersect the y-axis, okay? So from here you could just go, the slope is 5 over 1. You just go 1 and then 5. 1, 5. Find the slope. I don't see, the equation is this, y minus 6 equals 0. I don't see any x. So y equals 6. Y equals 6 is the horizontal line, is not just the point. When we ask you to graph equation of y equals 6, equation means this is a line, not just a point. So on the y-axis, you find 6 on the y and then draw the line. All the horizontal lines have equation of y equal a number. And that also, what is the y-intercept? Means the point where this line intersect the y-axis. Does it have any x? No. So y-intercept is 0 and 6. X is 0 and y is 6. So again, all the horizontal lines, equation is y equal a number. What if you just say y equal minus 3? Then you just pick minus 3 and they're all horizontal line. Equation is 7x minus 6y equal 30. If we ask you to find a slope and y-intercept, you need to write the equation in form of y equal mx plus b. Okay, but what is y-intercept? Y-intercept is when x is 0. See, when x is 0 and you find the y, that is your y-intercept. So in that case, I don't really need to write the equation for the first one like that. All I need to do is, in these equations, just put 0 for x here. That would eliminate this, right? So that would make it what? 0 minus 6y is 30, or y minus 5. So this is a point. Your y-intercept is no x and comma y is negative 5. That's your y-intercept. Now, how do I find the slope? Then yes, to find the slope, you need to write equations like this, correct? So what you do is you just bring the you bring the 7x to this side, so that becomes minus 7x. Divide everything by minus 6. Now equation is written in this form. Then m is what? 7 over 6. And to graph it from here, remember 7 over 6 means this is 7 and this is 6, okay? So what you do is from this point, you just go 6 and go up 7 to find another point and then graph it. When we give you coordinates of 2 points and ask you to find the slope, this is a slope. See, these 2 points are given. These 2 points, one is x1, y1, doesn't matter which one. And this is a formula. It's just when you take the numbers and plug into the formula, make sure you put all in the right place. Like, what is y2? 0. Minus, there's always a minus here in the formula. Minus y1, which is 5. x2, you go back to this 2, minus x1 is 0. That gives you the slope. So this is a formula that we use for slope. Same thing, you write a formula. One of these is x1, y1. You just write it as x1, y1, x2, y2. So it would be, see, the formula is y2 minus y1. So it's minus minus. Be very careful when you use this formula, especially the sign. Negative negative 2 is positive 2. So 8 plus 2 is 10, and so on. That gives you the 2. This is another example. Here is 8 and minus 8, 6 and minus 8. As a matter of fact, these kind of problems, when you see the y's are the same, you could graph it. And the graph would also tell you, like here, if I want to graph these points, 8 and minus 8 is this point. Okay. And then the second point is 6 and minus 8. See? They both, if you connect it, you see a horizontal lines, right? All the horizontal lines, equation is y equal minus what? Minus 8. Now you could use the formula. Formula give you that. See, the formula give you m equal to 0. Why? Because there's a horizontal line. They ask you to find the slope. What is the slope of horizontal line? M equal to 0. And you could do it through the graph and equations. All right. Use the point on the line and the slope to find additional points. So what you need to do is this. They're saying there is a line. This line is going through the point of 3, 1. The line goes through this point, and the slope is 0. What is 3, 3, 1? 3 and 1 is this point. From here, they ask us to draw the line with the horizontal line. All the horizontal line, the slope is what? 0, right? So how do I find the equation? Y equal to 1. Or you could write the equation. Y minus y1 is m times x minus 1. But since the slope is 0, 0 times anything is 0, so y is 1, okay? Which one has the same y for all of them? Look, all these points, 401. What is 401? It's a point here. Where is 6 and 1? Point here. What is 8 and 1? See, all the points, 4, 1, 6, 1, 8, 1, they all lie on horizontal line. That's why we picked this one as the correct answers. It goes through minus 7 and minus 9. Minus 7 and minus, it goes through this point. Okay? From here, you want to draw the line which is vertical, right? Why? Because the slope is undefined. What kind of line has undefined slope? Vertical line. And how do I write the equation of vertical line? Is x equal to minus 7, which is this. So which one has all the x's the same? This one. Because vertical line x remain the same, it's just a y difference. The same thing, 1 point is given, -7 and 5. And it's so the point that they give you in the problem is always x1 and y1. x1 and y1. So you put that into this one. Do not replace x and y. X and y always stay like that. But the point given in the problem is x1 and y1. So you put those here. A slope is given. When you simplify this equation, you just say 5x plus 40. Okay. How do I know this one is the answers? You could just take one of the number here, like when x is -6, -6 times 5 is -30 plus 40 is 10. So just plug one of these numbers to see which one works. All right. Same thing here. The point that is given is -2 minus 8. Slope is that you put it into these equations. So remember, be careful about the sign. Negative formula already has a negative between y and negative y1. But and y1 also is negative. When you put that negative here, then negative times negative is positive. Or here, x is negative. Negative times negative is because formula already has a negative here. And then when you simplify it, bring y in one side, that's what you get. How do I know this is the answer? Because when you have the formula, put x equals 0 here. What happened when you put x equals 0? Y is 9. And that's this one. The only one that has 0 and -9 is that. Make it negative, sorry. Find the equation that goes through this point with the slope of -2. Same thing. The point that we give you in the problem is x1 and y1, and this is the slope. See, you put it in x1 and y1. Why? Because the formula has x1 and y1, right? You put everything here. And then when you graph it, you get something like that. See, 1 point is already -3 and 6. -3 and 6 is here. And the slope is negative. Since the slope is negative, it goes in this direction, remember? Find the equation of the line that passed through this point, very similar. You just put everything in it and you graph it. So the point that given in the problem, 8 and 0, is your x1 and y1. x1 and y1 is a pair of points that given in the problems. Find this point. X is 3 and y is -1. X is 3 and y is -1 is this, right? But a slope is undefined. What kind of line has undefined slope? The vertical line. So you draw the vertical line here. A slope is 0. What kind of line has a slope of 0? Horizontal line. So if you find this point, and then you draw the horizontal line. So y is 9/8 or 1 point something, okay? The only one this is 9/8 or 1 point something is this. But these two are vertical line. It has to be horizontal line, but this one is a negative. This is a positive one is what we want. Now, this is the type of problems that they don't give you a slope. They give you 2 points of the graph and ask you to find the equation. How would I do that? First, you need to find the slope. These 2 points that are given in the problems, one is x1, y1. The second one is x2, y2. These are the points given in the problems. The first one is this. The second one is that. So make sure you understand. This is x1, y1, x2, y2. You put them here to find the slope. When you simplify 6/10, is that. Then you put it back in the equations. This is what you find. Now, when you write the equations, this kind of equations, you need 1 point and a slope. You already have the slope, right? Now, take this as slope, and one of these 2 points, it doesn't matter which one, we pick this one, because this is x1 and y1. Remember, you have x1, y1, and the slope. Put it in the equation, that gives you the final equation. There is another way to do this kind of problems. This formula is not in the book, but if there are 2 points given in the problems, you could basically take those points and put it into these equations, and that gives you directly the equations. See, x1, x2, y1, y2. See that? Put it here, and that gives you the equation. That's another way to do it. So in that case, you don't have to calculate the slope separately. You could always pause the video and copy if you want. Same thing for this one. But, you know, before I go through all this calculated slope, I graph it because I suspicious here x is the same thing, right? I plot these 2 points. When you plot it, x negative 7 and y is 1 is this. X negative 7 and y is 8 is this point. If you connect it, you see a vertical line. What's the equation of vertical line? X equal 7. Now, remember in the beginning we mentioned that if 2 lines are parallel lines, then the slope are the same. A slope is a number sitting next to x, as long as y is by itself and 1y is by itself on one side. So what's the slope of the first line? Half. What's the slope of the second line? Half. Both have the same slope, so both lines are parallel lines. Parallel lines have the same slope. But the equation has to be written in the form y by itself on one side, not even negative y or negative 3y, it's just 1y. The slope of the first one is half. The second one is minus half. They are not the same, and they're not even inverse, so neither. On this one, I need to find the slope of each separately. I find the slope of the first one is 3. The slope of the second one, when I calculate, is minus 1/3. 2 lines are perpendicular line when a slope of 1 is opposite, reverse of the second one. Or when you multiply, the outcome is -1. See, if 1 is 3 or 3/1, the second one has to be opposite sign and inverse. So instead of 3/1 is -1/3. So these 2 lines are perpendicular lines. And is also explained here too. Same thing for this one. You find the slope of each. See, notice in this one, the slope of both are 2/3. They both are the same slope. So it's a parallel line. So parallel lines have same slope, and perpendicular lines, the the product is always -1, or 1 is equal opposite sign of reverse of the second one. Now, sometimes we don't give you the slope directly. We just say, there is a line goes through this point, but instead of giving you a slope, we just say that line is parallel to this one. Okay, so first you need to find a slope of this line and then use it for the first one. How do I find the slope? You have to write it in form of y by itself on one side. Then the slope is 4. Then you could take this slope and this point and run it through this equation here. So I find the slope of the line first and use it for these equations. Means this equation has one point, which is x1 or y1, and a slope, you find it through this, which is 4. Okay. Second one is perpendicular. So when you find the slope is 4, if you want to use this slope for that, you get a reverse and opposite sign. So the slope from 4 would be -1/4. So these calculations is all for part 1. This is for part 1, and this is for part 2. Same thing here. This line is parallel to this line or is perpendicular to this line. What is the slope of y plus 3 or y minus 3? Y minus 3 is the horizontal line, so the slope is 0. So now think of a line passing to this point with the slope of 0. So that is what? Y equals 0 is that line. See, it goes through -5 and 0, which is here. It's -5 and 0 and has a slope of line. So it's actually is the x-axis, which is y equals 0. And same thing here. So first you have to write this equation in form of y equal mx plus b. Then you find the slope is 1. If two lines are parallel, means you take this slope of 1 and this is coordinates of 1 point, write your equations. Second part they're saying is perpendicular. Okay, so you gotta take this one with the opposite sign and reverse is just same thing, and then put it in the equation to find the second one. Okay, that would be end of section 2.1, Math 110.